Welcome back, Guardians. If you haven't seen the last video, I assure you should probably go check it out. It's called the Owl Sector, and it talks about those little tech mites that were over your head if you actually did play during the last couple of months, and how that was actually a problem, but it was unknown to the Guardians. In the Owl Sector, and what are they? You know, pretty much just that stuff. But those things are actually somewhat connected to Siva. If you don't know what Siva is, why are you here? And that means you haven't played Destiny. Siva is the main problem of the Rise of Iron DLC. And if some of you are wondering if Destiny just kind of pulled it out of his ass and just said, hey, this is a problem, let's make it a DLC, instead of continuing on with the lore of the game, which they haven't really done, you're kind of wrong. Siva was kind of in the lore a while back. It was mentioned, but it was deep down in the lore. In fact, we have to go back to the Iron Wolves, and through the Iron Wolves we get to the Iron Lords, but we'll cover all that. But if you want to know what Siva is down to its bare minimum, Siva is just nanotechnology. More importantly, it is smart nanotechnology. It can self-replicate, self-assemble, break down things, anything, and make it into whatever you want. You want upgrades? Siva is your thing for you. There really is no limit to what Siva can do, and that's the problem. In the hands of the wrong people, it's used for their own will, whether it's bad or good. When it was first created by Clovis Bray, it was a scientific breakthrough. It accelerated humanity's colonization effort. It helped out with building on new worlds. However, things don't really go according to plan. What I'm talking about is, Siva was fine the whole time. Nothing ever really happened that was terrible back then. But early in the City Age, it was discovered by the Iron Lords after Golden Age technology had disappeared. And what happened was it turned against them. So after the whole transmission thing, which was the Owl Sector thing, go back and watch the video, Clovis Bray just scrapped that idea and said, let's just work on Siva. This thing's actually working. It can benefit us much more than these little tech mites. And that's what happened. Siva's capabilities were astronomical. They could do anything. So he had to add some safety measures. A kill switch. Such a place was the replication chamber called Site 6. It was in the Cosmodrome, and most of you have probably been there. Now flashing forward to the Iron Lords. This has to do with Warmind Rasputin. Rasputin was reactivated when the Iron Lords, hoping to get the Siva to work for themselves and bring about a new golden age. That's kind of what Siva does. They ended up trespassing into Site 6. They couldn't really communicate with Rasputin, they couldn't shut him down, or they couldn't really say that they weren't a threat. So, in Rasputin fashion, and with Siva, they decided to activate its defenses. Treated them as hostile intruders. So, instead of just leaving the Iron Lords being as great as they were, managed to get all the way into Site 6, unfortunately this released Siva, the Plague. Most of it is shown in some cinematics, such as the one in the story, where they were shown fighting them, dying, sacrificing themselves. And in the end, almost all the Iron Lords and all the Iron Wolves sacrificed themselves to stop Siva. And where they sealed it was in Site 6. Now, if you were like me, you probably would have wondered, why did everyone lock themselves within Site 6? Leave Lord Saladin outside to just grieve? Well, as for Lord Saladin being left outside, I have no idea. But as for everyone else being locked inside, that is to let Rasputin think that the threat has been quarantined. The threat being the Iron Lords, and the quarantine being them in Site 6. After Lord Saladin was left outside to grieve, as I said, he decided to completely block off the Plague Lands from anyone ever entering it, afraid that one day a Guardian might stroll in and somehow awaken Siva, open up Site 6. As most people are curious and look around, and probably could happen. But instead of a Guardian opening up Siva, it was a Fallen. More importantly, the Fallen Splicers. You see, Fallen Splicers, or more importantly, the House of Devils, Devil Splicers, they were a radical sector of the House of Devils, who became obsessed with this Siva. Siva could build anything. They now worshipped it as a god, and with their god actually helping them out, they just kept experimenting with it, mutilating their bodies, changing them, enhancing their overall abilities. Devil Splicers are pretty much essentially engineers. They are the warlocks of the Fallen. They are scientists. Pretty much any single word that describes someone who likes to experiment. What drove the Devil Splicers to become more powerful was the fact that Siva, their god, actually made them closer to the god, the machine gods they had worshipped. If you remember as far back in the beginning of the video, I talked about how Siva was somehow connected to Destiny lore way back when. See, I made a video a long time ago called The Iron Wolves, and it talked about what the hell the Iron Wolves were. They were just a name thrown out there, no description to them. Well, in the light of the Rise of Iron lore and Grimoire that has come out, we've learned that the Iron Wolves, in a time of need, the pact they made underneath that tree, it was Siva. But they never showed them in the cinematics, which kind of ticks me off. But if you're wondering what the Iron Wolves are, they're essentially the second generation of Iron Lords, just one step below them. Almost like apprentices. So it wasn't just the Iron Lords that helped save everyone from the Siva plague. It also was the Iron Wolves. They all died as well, or maybe. And as for the rest of the story, after the Devil Splicers released Siva, Guardian went down and destroyed. Unfortunately, coming across more Iron Lords who have been mutated because of Siva, but that's just Destiny. Anyway, Guardians, that's been it for me. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Later, Guardians.